And there we go, everyone. We are back again for another fantastic conversation on Friday Night Counterattack. We are here and we are ready for another great part of the season coming up. We've got another fantastic guest who's already appeared this season and last season with some amazing insight into Bundesliga football. She's absolutely shining, as you've all been seeing in the Bundesliga and in the Champions League across in Switzerland. So without further ado, it's our very special and I would say my favorite half German, half Italian football presenter as well, Valentina Maceri. So, Valentina, thank you very much for joining the podcast again this season. It's great to have you on. I do have to say, you have been absolutely fantastic in the work you've been putting in this season. Like I said to you before, it's very, very cool how you can speak multiple languages in different football environments as well. So, big credit to you. Good to see
Thank
you
you so
again, my
much.
friend. How are you doing?
Good. I think after the announcement you give me right now, we can stop the interview because like it won't get any better.
That's okay.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be back.
No, very welcome to have you here as well. The pleasure's all mine. And we've got a lot of topics to talk about today, and it's going to be a fun conversation because we've got a lot of all of them are Bundesliga focused. But I wanted to talk to you at the end about the German national team as well, especially with the European Championships coming up here in England. We're very, very passionate about our national team, and I know for a fact in Germany, the German public are as well. So that'll be something for our audience to stick around to the end of the podcast to
Mhm.
find out. But before we're recording, I just have to let everyone know we are going to be recording this podcast and we're going to be posting it on our social media. So I do need people to follow Valentina Maceri on her social medias because she is working in Switzerland midweek and she's working in Germany on the weekend. So she's absolutely been fantastic in her work that's been going on this season. So do give her a follow. Do find her on her social medias that we will leave in the description below, as always. Right, Valentina, let's get into it. Bayern Munich, it's all happening this season. Thomas Tuchel is leaving. Eric Dyer signed the full contract till the end of next summer as well. And the man that you mentioned at the beginning of the season, Max Eberl, has become the new sporting director of Bayern Munich. Let me hear your thoughts on what's happening at Bayern Munich so far this season, because they are still looking good, but they're not at their best that we're used to seeing them as well.
I think they're not looking good to start like this because like they have had a lot of problems
Yes.
with the coach, with their performances. It's not about the results. It's more about the way they play, the way they present, the way the performances are, because it's not Bayern-like, you know. There is this word, this term used in Germany that is Bayern-like. And Bayern is not Bayern-like at all in the moment. And
So stern and so stubborn in the way that they approach the game as well. And even I'm saying about some of their signings that they've made as well. Sasha Bowie not being as great as we expected.
everything. I
Eric
mean, I think
Dyer.
these are problems like they go back in the last year or 2 years before. Like it doesn't start now, you know.
Yeah.
It started way before. It started in the era of Salihamidzic and Khan.
Yes.
They're gone now, so they have left like a hole
Last
in
season.
the team and everything. Yes, and new people came to the club that maybe don't know really the DNA of the club and what is very important about Bayern Munich and the way Bayern Munich approaches everything, like from their performance to their media appearance to their appearance like on the pitch and stuff. And I think this is something that needs to be changed. And I think Max Eberl is the right person for it because he has like a Bayern Munich past and he's very into Bayern Munich. And as I told you, like I think it was beginning of the season or something, we were talking about Max Eberl. I don't remember when it was exactly,
It
but
was around October time when you talk about how good of a job Max
something,
Eberl
yes.
did for RB Leipzig. Yeah, yeah.
And I think we all knew that this will happen one day because Max Eberl is a fan of Bayern Munich and he never like made a secret about it. And now is the time. And I think he has a lot of work to do, really a lot, an amazing amount of work to do. But if someone is able to change the way Bayern Munich is playing now and the way Bayern Munich is presenting now, I think it's Max Eberl, to be honest.
Absolutely. Because with some of the signings, it's been clashes between previous managers under Julian Nagelsmann and this current ownership with Thomas Tuchel as well. Because Thomas Tuchel, as we mentioned at the beginning of the season, he wanted to bring in João Paulino and get rid of Leon Goretzka, which hasn't really worked out. And now is bringing in Alexander Pavlovich, the young player, to kind of start a lot more games because it's
I
trying to show
mean,
the board that they need a
I'm
change.
usually I'm usually a fan of Thomas Tuchel. I think he's a great coach, but to be honest, he and Bayern Munich was never a perfect fit.
Really.
So it
Especially
was
with the
never,
Dortmund past as well.
yeah, it was never a perfect match because I think the way Thomas Tuchel wants to play doesn't fit and doesn't match with the team he has. And at Bayern Munich, there are players like Muller, like Kimmich, like Goretzka. They have a huge impact on the team and a huge impact on the club. And if a coach doesn't like these kind of players, like I think Thomas Tuchel and Kimmich or Goretzka will never be the best friends. It gets a little bit difficult. Plus, he didn't get the players he wanted to. So his work was kind of damaged from the beginning, or he wasn't able to like fulfill what he wanted to do. And I think also on the personal level, it wasn't a perfect match neither. So yeah, I think it's like it doesn't match in the end. It doesn't match, and I think it was the only way to stop it and to get a turnaround. It was actually to like let Thomas Tuchel go. To be honest, I was surprised about the timing the club announced it, because it was in the middle of the season and you don't know what happens against Lazio.
Yes.
I mean, if they will get out of the Champions League against Lazio, I don't know if Thomas Tuchel will stay until summer, but the situation is that there are no alternatives. So I think that's why Thomas Tuchel is still there till summer. And if there would have been alternatives, I don't know if they would have chosen the same timing.
There's so many alternatives you can choose at the end of the season, but for now,
Yes.
let's go through some of them as well. Julian Nagelsmann, would he return to Bayern Munich? Jose Mourinho, who's now a free agent after leaving.
Never.
Yeah, you'd never see.
You'll
No
never
way.
see. No
Really?
way.
Oh,
No way.
why?
Never.
Why?
I guarantee you won't see Jose Mourinho at Bayern Munich. Never. This
That'd be
would be like
crazy.
a catastrophe. Like never. And
It's
ego
just too.
has
It's just chalk and cheese, isn't it? It's just two different
too much. It's
two
too
different
much.
things collided. It would not work.
Two big egos. It's like impossible. I don't know. Maybe I will be completely wrong, and at the end of the season, we will see Mourinho signing at Bayern Munich. But for now, I'd say 99% never.
And if we're looking at Julian Nagelsmann, who's just recently left to go to the German national team, we have to look at his predecessor as well, Hansi Flick, who won everything at Bayern Munich, and then he went over to the national team as well. Could you see Hansi Flick returning potentially to Bayern Munich?
Potentially, yes, but unlikely. Unlikely because his relationship to Uli Hoeneß wasn't the best, and the way he left Bayern Munich was considered kind of like
it was disrespectful. From the outside, it was disrespectful from what I saw. He never got the praise or the appreciation he deserved as well. Because when Jupp Heynckes won the Champions League in 2013, he was lauded as the king, and he was the one who won and brought the Champions League back. But when it's Hansi Flick in 2020, they're like, oh yeah, it was just
but Bayern Munich felt kind of offended the way Hansi Flick left.
Yes.
I mean, I can understand that Hansi Flick felt never that much appreciated, but what you don't need to forget is Hansi Flick was just a co-coach.
Yes.
So he was just an assistant coach. He was never the head coach, and he got the chance from Bayern Munich. And of course, he really, really did an amazing work for sure. But Bayern Munich was the club that made Hansi Flick big.
Yes.
Of course, it was a give and return. It was a win-win situation for both sides. But I think this was why Bayern Munich felt offended the way Hansi Flick left. Because of that, because they felt like we were the ones that gave him this chance, and Hansi Flick was like, I want everything you can win with this club, and I don't feel appreciated, you know? So it was just a kind of conflict of interests.
It was like, you're not to our level yet, and we have to keep earning our respect. And because he didn't continue to keep earning the respect, they got rid of him for they sought after a better coach at the time as well, which they thought was a better coach. And now you're looking at it. The next one, the last one I was saying in the favourites list, is someone who we've been raving about for a year and a half now. Both of us, Valentina, we've been proved right with Xabi Alonso, who's now been deemed as one of the favourites for the next Bayern Munich job in the summer as well. And Simon Rolf, is the technical director of Bayern Leverkusen, he stated that there is a gentleman's agreement. If Xabi Alonso wins the league and he wants to leave for a bigger club, they won't step in his way. But he has said that Xabi Alonso is happy. I want to hear your thoughts on this one. Would you see Xabi Alonso going back to his former club where he played at Bayern Munich to coach them?
I think we'll see Xabi Alonso either at Bayern Munich or Liverpool, or he's going to stay another year at Leverkusen. It depends.
Don't say Liverpool. Don't say Liverpool. I don't want him to go to Liverpool because I think it's too...
Why?
I think, remember, I'm a Man United fan, so I think it's going to be fantastic to see Klopp go.
You're sad at the moment then to see the club like this, right?
And we've got we've got the FA Cup quarter-final against Jurgen Klopp as well. But personally, for me, I think having someone like Roberto De Zerbi from Brighton would be a better appointment for the style of play that Liverpool would play under Xabi Alonso. I just want to see one more season of Xabi Alonso at Bayern Leverkusen, because we see this all the time, don't we, Valentina? When you see coaches who do really, really well at a club and then they leave straight away and then their magic is gone. and then they end up going downhill as well. So I want to see.
Not everyone.
That's true. That's true. Zidane
Not
was a very
everyone.
big exception as well. But
Jurgen Klopp was like, okay, he doesn't leave his clubs immediately, but like, I think none of us would have ever imagined the success Jurgen Klopp has right now in Liverpool at the beginning of his time at Liverpool. Like, he was a big name in German football, but he wasn't a big name in international football.
yeah.
And the imprint and the impact he had on Liverpool is crazy. I think there will never be someone that could like fulfill the hole that Jurgen Klopp is leaving, because Jurgen Klopp is special personally as well. But I think Xabi Alonso is an amazing coach. He's an amazing coach because what you can see at Bayer Leverkusen is, of course, he has the right players, but he improved every single one of them. And he's a true leader. I mean, I don't know if you have seen the scene after, I think it was the win against Bayern Munich.
When he was just the coldest man in the stadium, didn't have to move at all. He just
but at the end of the game, all of his players called Xabi Alonso to come and to cheer with the fans. And Xabi Alonso didn't go straight away, but he called all of his stuff.
Yes.
Like with the assistant coaches, the dogs, the physios, whatever, fitness coach and stuff, his whole stuff. He called his whole stuff and waited for his whole stuff to come and celebrate the win. And I think this is a real leader. Like Xabi Alonso improved every single player. He's a real leader. He's learning German. I mean, the way he already do press conferences in German is unbelievable, because it's not easy to learn German. I mean, you just said it.
I'm a prime example.
In the beginning,
before the recording, I was trying to speak in fluent German.
It's a very difficult language, and I think he's the player that Xabi Alonso was. He has transmitted to the coach he's now. So his mentality, his appearances, his mindset, everything. I think he has like a huge career ahead.
Yeah, he's one of the brightest young coaches in the world of football right now. And when you're looking at the competition that he's got in the Bundesliga, you're looking at a lot of these coaches that have been in their fourth or fifth job around him. And Xabi Alonso is in his second job as well, working at Real Sociedad and then working at.
And he came from Real Sociedad. He didn't come like from, I don't know, Real Madrid or whatever. He was the coach of Real Sociedad of the second team.
Yes.
And then he took over Leverkusen, and what he's doing now is just unbelievable.
It's really, really cool to see what he's doing as well. And moving on to Bayern Leverkusen as well, who remain unbeaten at the time of recording as well. It's very, very fun to see how Valentina really just mentioned about how every single player has improved. And we were talking glowingly about Florian Wirtz earlier this season, but I need to talk to you about mostly their wing backs as well, because we have to talk about Jeremy Frimpong and Alejandro Grimaldo, and especially when they've had Victor Boniface, who was shining at the beginning of the season. They brought in Borja Iglesias and some of their younger players who were then squad players like Adli coming into the first team as well. He's been very, very good. Talk to me about how they've been shining across the team, and especially about how some of their squad players are getting a lot more recognition now in the first team for Bayer Leverkusen.
Well, what is very noticeable about Bayer Leverkusen as well is they were really afraid of the Africa Cup.
Yes.
Because, of course, Boniface got injured. Otherwise, he would have been there as well. And then there was the Africa Cup, where lots of players of Bayer Leverkusen has been playing. So Kusunu wearing number 7, that really bugged me. Do you remember that, Valentina?
Yeah. Centre back wearing number 7, that was crazy.
But they were really afraid, like, they could struggle in this period, like, of the season, which is very important, because I think the real season starts like around February, March of the new year. And this was the period of time when the Africa Cup took place. And what is really noticeable is that Bayer Leverkusen, no matter who is not playing of the first 11, of the starting 11, they can replace everyone by being just a great team. And I think this is amazing to watch. And the way Bayer Leverkusen plays is just, you see that they're a team. This is what you're missing at Bayern Munich. When you see Bayern Munich playing, everything feels like heavy.
Yes.
And when you see Bayer Leverkusen playing, everything seems like easy.
Balanced as well.
And balanced, and it's fun watching them, and they're having fun. I mean, I don't know if you have seen like the cheer from Xhaka.
Yes.
Where he kind of
faked his injury.
Be injured. Yeah. His injury.
And I've never seen him so happy. He wasn't that happy at Arsenal getting booed off the pitch, and now he's happy now.
Happy, and like they're just like fun to watch, and they're just a team, and you can feel it.
You
know?
mentioned the point as well about the African players being out for AFCON as well. One of the replacements who came straight in the team, Stanisic, who was on loan for Bayern Munich. He
Yeah.
even scored against Bayern Munich, and it was a big impact because that's normally
Tuchel
where
didn't want him,
Kasun.
huh?
Yeah, Tuchel didn't want him, and he thought, you know what, let's get rid of some of these young players. Joshua Zirkzee's playing well now at Bologna as well, so little shout out to Joshua Zirkzee. But you're looking at Stanisic, you replaced Tapsoba in that starting lineup or Kasuna in that starting lineup, and he scored against them. It was one of the most emphatic wins of the season in all of world football, and that goal from Frimpong was very, very cool as well. So just like you said, the team has got that goal-driven mindset, and they're really going for it in the Bundesliga right now.
And they will win this championship for sure.
We did predict it at the beginning of the season, so I'll be here in May and I'll be messaging Valentina. I'll be like, we told everyone we're gonna get the clips out. We told you all back in September.
You know,
October,
at the beginning of the season, I was asked by a lot of like people at the Sport Bild Award where I have been guests, who do you think for different podcasts and stuff? And they were asking me, who do you think will win the championship at the end of the season? And I was like, I think this time it will be Bayer Leverkusen. And they were all laughing at me, you know? But some experts, they agreed, but most of them, they were like, you're crazy. But I
Valentina
think now,
knows football. That's all I'm saying. Valentina has
it's
always known
just
football.
like, you know, when you're into football and I have been playing for years. So I know some mechanism. And when a team is a winning team,
Yes,
you can feel it. They have this special spirit. They're special. And Bayern Leverkusen is special in this season.
One thing I need to ask you before we move on, it's kind of a segue into the next topic, but what did this Bayern Leverkusen team have that the Borussia Dortmund team of last season lack? Because last season, Borussia Dortmund were the talk of the Bundesliga. Jude Bellingham, Marco Reus finally winning the trophy as well. Some amazing players that they had in their side. What's the main difference from your point of view from Bayern Leverkusen for this season and Borussia Dortmund from last season, Valentina?
Well, for sure, with all respect for Edin Terzic, but Xabi Alonso is like the better coach. Why? Because he has won everything as a player. He has this winning mentality. He knows how to handle situations where you're under pressure. And his mindset is transported to his players. And I think this is the main difference from Bayer Leverkusen to Borussia Dortmund of last season. I think Borussia Dortmund of last season couldn't stand the pressure. They got nervous in the end and they lost it last game. So against Mainz, I mean, what are you talking about? It's Mainz, you know?
And a missed penalty as well, which was crazy to think about.
So, and I think this is the very different difference from Bayer Leverkusen to Borussia Dortmund is the mindset and their coach. And I think also the quality of the players. I mean, Borussia Dortmund had an amazing team last season, but compared to the Bayer Leverkusen of this season, I think Bayer Leverkusen is way better.
I would say so as well. And the one thing for me, you mentioned about the coach as well, the aura of both coaches as well. Edin Terzic is a fantastic man manager and for me, a really good tactician, but he doesn't have the aura, the presence that Xabi Alonso has in the Bundesliga right now. Because you're looking at how Xabi Alonso came into the side last season and he brought everyone up straight away. He was playing with an injured side as well. So Florian Wirtz was out, Schick was out. I think Andrić and Palacios wasn't in the team and he brought Palacios into the team because it was Andrić and Demirbay as the two centre midfielders as well. And has brought a lot of players through into this system that have worked really well. Nathan Teller's a big example as well. He was a bench player at Southampton last season. Now he's starting games in the Bundesliga, scoring winning goals for the Bayern Leverkusen side. And it's fantastic to see, especially because of the aura of some managers. They just have that presence about them. You mentioned Klopp earlier as well. Xabi Alonso is definitely in that. I would say Xabi Alonso is definitely of that ilk in terms of having great auras. Not in terms of quality just yet for Jurgen Klopp, but in terms of having aura, I would say as well, which is really good. But yeah, one topic I wanted to talk to you about before we move on to, I've got a few today as well, but one thing I need to kind of know, RB Leipzig, Stuttgart, Borussia Dortmund, top four battle. Let's hear your thoughts on this one. Are we seeing a new kind of look in the Bundesliga? Because Stuttgart are still third at this moment in time. They are playing some good football.
They have an amazing coach as well, Stuttgart.
Really?
Sebastian Hoeneß. And of course, Bayern Munich would be interested in him as well, of course, because of like his parental relationships, for sure.
Will the players buy into him though, because of obviously the relationships? Do you think they'd buy into him, the Bayern League?
I think he needs a couple more years to grow. Sebastian Hoeneß, he's very talented, but he's not at the level of Xabi Alonso yet, for instance. So I think one day he will be maybe a Bayern coach, but it's not the time yet. And he's doing an amazing work at Stuttgart. I mean, who would have ever thought to see Stuttgart in the top 4 or top 3 of the table of the Bundesliga
In March as well.
in March. Nobody. Nobody.
I was watching a video earlier today. It was Man United versus Stuttgart when they were in the Champions League back in 2004. 20 years later, they're going for Champions League football again. Do you think Stuttgart could make it into the Champions League for next season?
Why not? Right now, I'd say yes, because like what you often see is when little teams, with all respect to Stuttgart, but small teams with financial limits and stuff, have a good or start good in the season,
yes,
they will lose their self in the process, in the journey. And what we saw at Stuttgart was at the beginning of the year the same effect, but like they come back.
I'm really impressed with them as well. Like, it's not just Sohu Guirassy, who you spoke about earlier this season. Now is on like 18 or 19 league goals, but the whole team have worked really well. Got to the quarterfinals, I think, of the German Cup as well, which is good.
Unbeaten is doing an amazing job as well.
Would they be? Yeah, I was going to say, with the way that Undav's playing as well, you're looking at both of them and you're like, these are some top quality players that are now replacing household names in German football, which is good to see how Stuttgart are doing.
I mean, of course, you don't have the same quality over the whole team. Like you have some outstanding players that are like the winning players for Stuttgart. They have an outstanding coach. And I think this is their formula of success. And then they build a team. I think it could last until the end of the season. They will qualify for Europe for sure, I think. I don't know if it will be Champions League. Maybe it's going to be Euro League or Conference League in the end. It depends on injuries. It depends on like how the next game will go and stuff. But if they stick together like this and no one gets injured, like if their best players don't get injured like Undav or Guirassy and they can play their full potential until the end of the season, I think we will see for sure Stuttgart at least in EuroLeague.
Because I was literally thinking they would have dropped off during the AFCON as well, because Guirassy had to go to AFCON, but they're still up and firing. I think 5 points ahead of Borussia Dortmund in 4th position as well. And a player that we spoke about last year, Jadon Sancho, going back to Borussia Dortmund, it happened. We predicted it. Well, you predicted it more than I did as well, I would say. And he's not really had the best of times there in Borussia Dortmund, and neither really has quite a lot of the other players as well. There's been a few injuries. Karen Adeyemi's form has gone downhill from last season. Do you think they're going to be the team that could miss out in the top 4? Or do you think Edin Terzic has still got enough in him to get into the top 4?
Yeah, and I think here we have the case that because Dortmund or Watzke was missing alternatives for Terzic as well.
Yes.
And they haven't replaced him yet as a coach, to be honest, because the performances of Borussia Dortmund are like ups and downs. I mean, they're not a team. What you see at Leverkusen is the opposite of what you see at Dortmund. Like, they're not a team. They have good players, but they're not putting their performance on the pitch. And when I watch press conference of Terzic, for instance, I don't feel any spirit. I don't feel like any authenticity.
He's just going through the motions, isn't he? He's just got to do his job, carry on with it.
I'm missing spirit.
Lacking charisma.
Yeah, charisma is the right word, maybe. And I think Borussia Dortmund could end up the disappointment of the season, to be honest.
And they're still in the Champions League at the time of recording. They had a disappointing game against PSV Eindhoven as well earlier this season in a 1-1 draw.
I mean, what you have to admit, of course, is at the beginning of the season, they were in the most difficult group of Champions League.
Group of death.
The group stage, yeah, Group F, it was the most difficult by far. And they qualified the first team of this group for the round of 16, you know. But it was always an up and down this season. And what we see now is kind of more an down than an up. And I think PSV Eindhoven could be their like last station this season in Champions League, to be honest. And I think also they really have to fight for Champions League next year.
Definitely.
In the Bundesliga.
I would say so as well. One of their shining players of the last 10 or 13 years, I'd say, Marco Reus. He made history as well this season, being one of the most active scorers in the Bundesliga history. And Valentina, I know you don't like this game, but we are playing this game regardless. It is the start bench sell. So start bench sell. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Start bench sell. Thomas Muller, Marco Reus, Mesut Ozil. Start bench sell.
Mesut Ozil, where do you pick him from? Like,
I'm going for like the great number 10s of German football. They've been absolutely fantastic in the modern era. I'm not going to pick Julian Brandt or Kai Havertz. Come on, Valentina. You know me.
What about Musiala?
I'm going for past ones. Actually, we could do, but then who'd you get rid of? Musiala.
Okay,
Ozil,
let
Muller.
me say start Mesut Özil, but in his best times for
Yes,
sure.
yeah.
There's like no option. If you give me Mesut Özil in his best times, he's a number 10. It's outstanding. So for sure, start with Özil.
Yes.
Bench.
Pressure's on.
I mean, it's difficult. You know why? Because these are like older players. So to sell them doesn't make any sense.
You can have them in their prime. That's all I'm saying. Prime Mesut Ozil, prime
Okay, in
Muller,
their
prime
prime.
Marco Reus. Yes. Doesn't have
Ozil
to be
prime.
30. Doesn't have to be
Okay.
34-year-old Marco
Fair
Reus.
enough.
By all means, you're absolutely fine.
Then Ozil prime would start for sure.
Absolutely.
Muller
What did you
prime,
enjoy about Ozil the most? Just so I can get this on.
his technique,
Mm.
his feet. I mean, his
Just
technique.
like you when you played football as well.
There's no comparison to Mesut Özil. Thank you, like for the compliment, but I would never compare myself to Mesut Özil for sure.
What a left foot he had. Incredible talent.
Amazing. His technique, his approach to the game, he played some passes that you would have never seen before. Like he did things that you wasn't even expecting to happen. Like he was a game changer for sure in his prime.
His
And
combination play was incredible.
Maybe he's one of the best number 10s in the world in his prime. I just talk about his very prime. What
Always
happens after with all the political situation stuff aside. But he's for sure the best German number 10 until now for me.
Big praise. I'm liking this.
In his prime. We're always talking about his prime. And I'd say I'll bench Müller because Müller always kind of do some expected things that you know, because he's not the best footballer for sure. But
would you say he's had one of the best first touches?
What he's doing next, you know?
He's got one of the best first touches I've ever seen in a German player, Thomas Müller. His control is incredible from what I've seen.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so, especially in front of goal as well, just shifting it onto his left foot, dummying away, little body feint.
What is the great thing about Müller is that you can't predict what he's doing because
expect the unexpected.
Untypically movements, you know, so that defenders sometimes could not predict what he's doing. So I'd bench Müller in his prime, and I'd say Reus in his prime because you will earn a lot of money.
I would say so as well, and he'd always be injured as well, Marco Reus.
Yeah, and unfortunately, yes. And this is why, unfortunately, Reus was never considered as one of the best, absolute best in the world. It's because of his injury list.
I would say so.
I think if he wasn't that much injured, he would have been for sure one of the best.
I would say so. This is the first time ever you and I have agreed on this one as well. Prime Mesut Ozil would start. Then I would bench Thomas Muller. Then I would sell Marco Reus as well because they were three incredible players to watch in their prime. Don't worry, I'm not going to clip this up and make you look like, oh yeah, I'm starting. I'm like, no, it's definitely prime players. So,
I mean, it's my opinion.
It's a great opinion because we agree for once, which is great, and I'm loving this. But
so I think if I'm your opinion, then it must be a great opinion, right?
If I'm your opinion, then your opinion is great as well. So it's fantastic. But yeah, talking on Marco Reus's injuries as well. I mean, 2012, he was injured in the warm-up game for the Euros. He missed the World Cup in 2014 when Germany won. He was injured for the 2016 Euros as well. And then he missed the European
World Cup in Qatar as well.
Yeah, he missed the World Cup in Qatar and he missed the Euros in 2021 at the same time. But with Mesut Ozil as well, Mesut Ozil was the only player in history to have been the top assist provider in the Premier League, the Bundesliga, La Liga, the Champions League, the Europa League.
There are no doubts. Mesut Ozil in his prime is like
the World Cup as well.
Unbelievable player.
One of the most underrated and underappreciated players of our generation watching football as well. Unreal in what he did. And remember, he played with an Arsenal team that had Theo Walcott, Lucas Podolski, Olivier Giroud. So he was still assisting players who wasn't the quality of Ronaldo, Benzema, Di Maria. So he has so much quality to offer. And in the German national team, like you said, absolute superstar as well. And Thomas Muller, one of the, what's the term they call him? Ramduta? Ramduta?
What?
Is it Ramanduta? What's the term they call him?
Ramanduta?
Ramanduta. I have to Google this.
Google, because I can't understand what you're saying.
The word Raumduta was coined in a football sense by Thomas Muller. The word essentially translates to space investigator.
Can you spell it to me?
Rumdeuter. Raumduta.
I've never heard it, to be honest.
I'll text it to you later. But Raumduta is like a footballing term for managing space and always being in the right place at the right time. I'm like, okay, cool. That's a cool saying as well. But
I've
yeah,
learned something new here. It's
I'm
good.
teaching you German, which is crazy. I'm not
You
even.
to me German means I can't speak German at all, but okay.
It's crazy. I don't even know if it is German, but that's what they call him. They call him the Ramduta. Him and Deli Ali were like that as well. But never mind. On to the final topic of today's conversation with Valentina. We are talking about the German national team. So Valentina very rightly mentioned about Jamal Musiala being in the start bench cell. We mentioned him earlier this season in the start bench cell, which is great. But I need to hear your thoughts, Valentina. What's the public opinion right now of the German national team under Julian Nagelsmann? Is it positive? Is it negative? Are you confident in this team as well? Let me hear your thoughts, Valentina.
I'm not confident in this
Oh,
team, to
dearie me.
be
Oh,
honest.
no.
I think no one in Germany is.
Since the World Cup or
Nagelsmann
since the
maybe they
Turkey
hope
result? Because it's been quite difficult for the last couple of years.
since everything, since like I
Okay.
think the last 2 or 3 years, since Russia, to be honest. Since Russia.
The
I
South
think,
Korea game was crazy. And the
yeah,
Mexico one.
since Russia, to be honest. Qatar just confirmed what happened in Russia, and the last games confirmed what happened in Qatar. So I think they need a big portion of luck for sure.
Yes.
Maybe the spirit of being the host of this Euros could, like, I don't know, make them a little bit more fire and excited about everything. Because what you see at Bayern Munich, actually, you can break it down to the national team of Germany.
Oh, dear. That's not good.
First of all, because but it is how it is, you know. First of all, because you have lots of Bayern Munich players.
Yes.
So
Starters as well for the German national team.
yeah, and they're coming from a difficult season. They're coming from like a difficult situation, and they're
Difficult environment as well.
difficult environment, and they're put in another difficult environment. And
Yes.
I think to expect them to have like full turnover like this could be difficult.
Yes.
Now they got Kroos back. I think he can help, but you can't expect Kroos to change everything.
Do you think Kroos will start under Nagelsmann? Do you think it's because you've got Kimmich,
yeah.
Goretzka, Gundogan,
I
Eindrick
think
is
so.
starting? Yeah.
I think he would be important, like for the whole spirit of the team as well. But I think he could be also an option to start for sure, because I don't think Kroos will come back just to be a bench player, to be honest. So I think so, would have already like talked to Nagelsmann about the situation, if whether he's starting or not. And Nagelsmann, I think, told him his expectations for sure. And they agreed. So I think we won't see like Kroos on the bench for every game.
I would say so.
I don't know if he's able to do like 3 games in a week, about 90 minutes. But what we see at Real Madrid is that he's on fire.
One game on, one game off, basically.
Yeah, but his performances are like very, very good for his age.
Definitely.
To be honest. And I think what will happen is that Kroos is replacing Kimmich in the midfield, and Kimmich is playing right defender.
What formation would you set them up in? Because they've chopped and changed a few formations recently. They did 3-4-2-1 versus Austria. They did a 4-2-2-2 like RB Leipzig against Turkey as well.
Yeah.
How would you set them up? What would be your preferred starting 11 for Germany?
I always go for 4-3-3, to be honest, because I just like 4-3-3. It's my personal favorite starting formation.
Okay.
I don't know if Germany has the players for a 4-3-3. And this is what you have to like see and consider. I think the next 2 games are the most important for Germany and for Nagelsmann as well, because he doesn't get any more time. And I mean, June is around the corner, you know? And until now, he doesn't really have a full formation. So I think he needs to test some more things, but he doesn't have the time to test these things.
There's only like 3 games left, I think, until the Euros.
Yeah. So, and June is around the corner. I mean, we have March now. It's 3 months.
And you can't be playing players out of position, because one of the things I wanted to do for the German national team is how do you fit Wirtz, Sane, Musiala into an attacking 3? Like, how does it kind of work? Do you have to bench one of them? Do you have to play 2 out position? How does that kind of work for me? And I'd go Musiala in the middle, obviously. I'd get the best out of Musiala. Wirtz on the left because he has played there. Maybe Sane on the left or Gnabry on the left. But Hoffman's been very well this season as well.
I think Wirtz is even better than Musiala this season for sure. I mean, what he's playing right now after his heavy injury is outstanding.
Definitely.
He has recovered so well from his injury. And the problem is we don't really have a striker at the German national team.
You do have a striker, but is playing at left wing back. Kai Havertz. That was a crazy claim. Do you remember when he played left wing back?
Yeah, I know this was a
I
strange.
I don't get that at all. Like, do you play Kai Havertz or do you play what's his name, Fulkrug at striker?
Yeah.
Who would you go for? Would you go for a
And
false nine, maybe?
I mean, with all respect for Krug, but he's not the striker that made you win titles.
Yes,
No.
absolutely.
So I don't want to offend him for sure. He's a good player, but he's not a world-class striker.
It's not
And
your Mario Gomez or your Klose. It's not of that quality.
to win titles, you need world-class strikers. You need like a formation where you have 3 or 4 key players, and the rest just makes the team complete, you know?
Absolutely.
And I'm missing that in the German national team. I mean, maybe if Kroos come back, you will have good midfielders. That's good. We have Manuel Neuer back. It's good also. But who's the striker? Who's gonna change the game? Who's gonna win the game last minute, for instance?
Exactly. Who's going to be the one that's going to pounce onto the
And I
goals?
can't answer this question right now because we don't have this kind of player.
You can't even put
For me.
Adeyemi there because he's been off form and injured this
No,
season
no,
as
no.
well.
Adeyemi for sure not.
And someone who you
Right
mentioned
now,
last
for sure
season,
not.
Mukuku, he's still not up to the standards of
No,
Borussia Dortmund
never.
either.
Never.
It's
We
looking
don't
bleak
have
right
we
now.
don't have this player. We don't have this player. So what you can do, you can try to replace one player by 3 maybe.
Yes.
Like you told Sané maybe in his best in his prime, if he's gonna be in his prime, Musiala in his prime and Wirtz in his prime, maybe. So that you don't have like this classic number 9.
Yes.
But you have 3 players that are really fast, really strong, really technique. But I don't know if this is gonna work out. I mean,
Starting Thomas Muller. That's a good way of going about it.
Thomas Muller, I know you're a fan
You
of
have I know you have reservations about him, but maybe there's some life in him yet. He's the only player to win 500 career games for Bayern Munich this century.
He's the face of Bayern Munich without any doubt. And what he did in his career is outstanding. But for me, like, if you consider the technical way he plays, or like if you consider football as a skill, you know,
Yes.
his skills of football are like not on top. Müller is like, he has a good timing. And what I told you, he's unpredictable because
Good positioning as well.
Yeah, his movements are not typically like the typical movements of a striker.
Yes.
But this makes him unpredictable, and this is what makes him strong. And of course, his charisma and stuff, because this puts into his like player profile as well.
Definitely.
Is a big impact for the team.
Definitely. Right. Final question, because we are wrapping up now as well. Where do you think Germany will finish in the European Championships?
Oh my gosh. I'll make myself like unpopular in Germany when I say this, but
it's okay. I won't release it until we're in Germany.
Maximum is round of 16 or quarterfinals, to be honest.
Okay. Now I know it's not looking popular in Germany right now, but
same for Italy as well, huh? So
it's true. But Italy, you never know with them. They could go all the way like
That's
they did
true.
it,
Yeah.
beating England in their home country in their own
I
stadium.
mean, it's already a wonder that they qualified. So
It's true.
you
Even
know,
they had striker problems as
they
well.
had
They got a
so
striker
much
from
luck in the
Argentina.
last game of the qualifiers. It was crazy.
I
was
don't get
like,
how they did
oh
it,
my
because
gosh.
England dominated both games, home and away, and then they just scraped through as well.
England is going for the title. France is going for the title. For
England,
sure.
England. If Harry Kane and Bellingham stay fit, then we've got a good opportunity. But
For sure.
I think what we'll do to end the season, I don't know, because we have issues with Rashford, Grealish on the left wing. So it's just, we need the right players to continue staying fit. And that's the problem with England. Every single season, we always have injuries before the tournament, which is really worrying.
Who or which team doesn't have this problem? I mean, every
France.
national team has key players. But okay, put out Mbappé of France.
Kolo Muani, you then got...
Yeah, but they're not
Marcus
Mbappé's
Thuram.
level.
Yes, true. No one will be Mbappe's level, because
No.
he's on a different level completely, which is great as well. But I think what we'll do, Valentina, just before we end the podcast, is I will officially invite you to a European Championship preview podcast later this season. So when the domestic season's over, when you finish working your wonders in the Champions League as well, as you do as well, we'll have a full-on conversation about the European Championships. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
That's perfect. But yeah, I know you've got to hop off now, but I want to say thank you very much for your time, your efforts, and your kind words of wisdom as you've been giving me all season, which has been fantastic. And I appreciate the work that you've been doing. Again, it's ridiculous the work that you do, but it's very, very appreciated from our side as well. Like I said as well. No, you're very welcome. But yeah, I've got your closing message. Quarterfinals for Germany. It's going to be good fun. Everyone do follow Valentina Maceri on her social medias. Do give her some praise and appreciation for being one of the best football presenters in European football right now. And for me, one of the best in the world, because not just because she comes onto Friday Night Counter Attack, but because she presents in different languages consistently. That's such a rare skill to have. I'm very, very happy that.
Thank you so much.
No, it's very welcome. But everyone, thank you very much for your time. Valentina, thank you very much for your time. And I'll see you soon. Take care.
See you.